From the beginning of history, art has been one of the many ways to express feelings, actions, or a perspective on something. The colours in the paintings also represent meaning to what one was trying to express, and today I'll be focusing on the colour blue and how it has been used in many ways to express things. Blue has many different meanings but is mainly associated with the sea and sky. Peace, tranquility, and calmness is also thought of, as well as stability and depth, but can also be viewed as a cold and depressing colour. Impressionism was a movement that was based on the divergence away from photographic realism, which was challenging to painters in the 19th century because of the lack of reality to one's paintings. One advantage to the painters during this time was that they could paint to a close reality painting of a scene in colour, something that photo had not produced yet. Main leaders of this movement were a group of Paris-based artists including Claude Monet, Auguste Renoir, Edgar Degas, Berthe Morisot, and Mary Cassatt. They became known as the Impressionists after a newspaper critic claimed their works to be sketches or impressions of things, even though they believed their work was finished. The Impressionists started to paint outside, bringing their canvas to landscape to try and recreate the image in front of them, before paintings were done in a studio. One of the famous Impressionist artists was Claude Monet. He was born in Paris in 1840 and was one of the founding leaders of the Impressionist movement. One of his most famous paintings was called Impression Sunrise and was painted in 1872. The painting was of a landscape of the sea at sunrise and was given excellent critique at how accurate the lighting was in comparison to real life. The colour blue in this painting acts as a main base for all the colours, except for orange and red. By using a wide range of the shades of blue, Monet was able to capture the depth and movement of the ripples across the sea. The gain from painting a sunrise was to be able to look at it and result in the same mood. By using the colour blue, Monet has successfully created a peaceful scene by using different hues of blue to emphasize the calming mood. Post-Impressionism is pretty much the same as Impressionism, only more intense. It was a movement that followed up after Impressionism from around 1886 to 1905, and stuck to the main characteristics to Impressionism, such as brushstrokes, but also instead focused on the emphasis of geometric forms as well as using unnatural colour. Many notable artists include Paul Cézanne, Vincent van Gogh, and Paul Gauguin. One of the most famous artists of all time was Vincent van Gogh, and he was a post-impressionist artist. He was born in 1853 and when a child used to draw all the time. In 1886, Van Gogh moved to Paris and found the group of Parisian-based artists who were into Impressionism. Liking the bright colours used and the vivid brushstrokes, Van Gogh took this idea and emphasised his paintings, in which he felt he could express more feelings and thought. One of his most famous paintings was called Starry Night. It is a painting of a landscape at night from Van Gogh's window, showing the surrounding village captured under the moonlight. The colour blue in the painting was complemented with touches of green to show the reflection of the moon on the village below. Although he painted rich colours to exaggerate the night, the colours are also used to suggest emotions such as peace at night. Fauvism was barely a movement that went from a short period from 1904 to 1908. Fauvists or Lefauves were artists who painted pictures in which colour was used for the emotional response it could draw from the audience. Notable artists include Henri Matisse, André Derain, and Maurice de Vlaminck. Henri Matisse was born in 1869 and was one of the leaders of the Fauvist movement. He chose to depict form and shape by juxtaposing pure areas of colour by outlining them in black or by separating them. He believed that colour should be served to express something. Henri Matisse painted a picture of a nude woman by accidentally ruining his sculpture. The painting is of a woman posing, but instead of portraying it as a full female figure, Matisse influenced masculinity towards the painting. This was done by creating distinct muscular body parts, and by using repetitive tones of the colour blue to create shadows on the woman's figure. In this painting, the colour blue is associated with masculinity, not so much peace. Cubism was known as an experimental art movement during the 20th century. It has been considered the most influential art movement of the 20th century. In Cubism, artists analyze the objects and create broken up pictures and was aimed at seeing things within the modern age. The pressure of painting becoming less used because of photography was one of the reasons as to why Cubism was so different from other art movements. Artists had to think of a new way to capture the audience and present a new way of seeing things. Many famous Cubist artists include Pablo Picasso, Georges Braque, and Juan Gris. Pablo Picasso was born in 1881 in Malaga, Spain. He experimented with different theories, techniques, and ideas which excelled him as one of the greatest known artists in the world. His painting, The Old Guitarist, was painted in 1903. It shows a man with his head down holding a guitar. You can tell by his facial expression he is depressed, and Picasso was trying to focus on the subject matter of beggars. Because Picasso was depressed during the time he painted the image, by using shades of blue he was able to express his emotions into his paintings, giving them a deeper meaning. The blue in this painting was used to correspond with the depressed mood of both Picasso and the man in the picture. Futurism was an art movement that originated in Italy in the early 20th century. The artists who would then become known as futurists admired speed, noise, and machine, and found a way to enjoy the new, exciting world rather than just enjoying all the new products. They chose to paint technology than nature, which never in the history of art had happened before. The main figures of this Futurism movement were Filippo Tommaso Marinetti, Umberto Boccioni, and Giacomo Balla. Giacomo Balla was an Italian futurist artist who was born in 1871. Balla enjoyed the futurist movement, being able to depict movement, sound, light, and speed, and took on this concept to paint many pictures, including his painting, Abstract Sound and Speed. In his painting, Abstract Sound and Speed, not many images can be seen except the variety of 4 simple colors, lines, and shapes. The use of blue in this painting is to create a stop between the complementary colors of red and green, in which they are all expressed in the painting to show speed and how it cuts through objects. Expressionism was an artistic movement at the beginning of the 20th century, originating in Germany. It looked at presenting the world from a subjective perspective, which was then distorted to create an emotional effect to assist in expressing moods or ideas. Some famous artists include Edvard Munch, Vasily Kandinsky, and Max Beckmann. Edvard Munch was born in 1863 and was a Norwegian painter best known for his artwork The Scream. The Scream is a painting that shows a person in the foreground, screaming. You can tell the figure is scared by simply the facial expression, and possibly feels alone or confused as the figures in the background seem to be walking away in time of distress. Because the picture is quite intense due to the red, the blue acts as a secondary color in the background to cut through the harshness to even out the tension of the emotion. Because blue is seen as a calming and the opposite of red, it is used as a juxtaposition in the painting. Surrealism is known as the dream art, where images from strange scenes and weird ideas came from the artist's mind and onto canvas. Surrealism began after the First World War, and a French poet called André Breton believed that art should move away from the horrible realities of war, politics, and work, and that dreams were the most important things in life, as well as art. As Breton once said, surrealism is based on the belief in the superior reality of the dream. Salvador Dali was a Spanish painter born in 1904. He joined the Surrealists in 1928 after he moved to Paris. He met André Breton and has since become the most famous Surrealist. His paintings often show weird, distorted figures and objects in impossible landscapes. An example of this is his work called The Persistence of Memory. The images of the melting clocks symbolize the unconsciousness of when we are asleep and unaware of time. The dark blue sky in the background shows the setting of the sun, in which is a time where people are at peace, asleep. In this case, the blue represents peace. Abstract art is art that uses line, form, and color to create a composition which may have no particular meaning or emotion towards it, just an idea or creation. Abstract art departs itself from reality in trying to express something of imagery in art. Some famous abstract artists include Vasily Kandinsky and Frank Stella. Vasily Kandinsky was born in 1866 in Moscow. He was known for almost creating abstract art itself after experimenting with random patterns on his canvas. In his painting Sky Blue, images of floating figures are shown, painted with bright colors. The blue in the background could represent the sky with the images floating in the air, or it could represent peacefulness within a community. The blue in the image suggests the freedom to dream. The abstract expressionism movement started in the early 1930s, where a group of New York artists created a new body of work that introduced new directions in art. They worked off spontaneous improvisation, but expressed themselves through abstract ways, either focusing on energetic gesture or to focus on color. Famous artists include Jackson Pollock, Willem de Kooning, and Franz Klein. Jackson Pollock was born in 1912 and was a major figure in the abstract expressionist movement. He was well known for his unique style of creating artworks through the technique of drip painting. His painting Blue Poles would be recognized as one of his most famous pieces of art. Although many abstract expressionist artworks were considered to be created on the spot, the thickness of the picture from layer upon layer of paint suggests that this painting was planned. The blue color acts as a key focal point on the picture, away from the speckled background. Pop art was an art movement that occurred during the 1950s and 1960s, primarily in America and Britain. After World War II, people were recovering from war and enjoying the luxuries of fast cars, fast food, colour TV, and mass-produced products. This was a huge leap into the modern world, and pop artists took onto this modern life and how it appealed to many people, and therefore created artwork to become known as popular art. They wanted their work to be exciting and to really capture the audience as a sort of entertainment for everyone. Notable artists include Andy Warhol, Roy Lichtenstein, and David Hockney. Roy Lichtenstein was born in 1923. He loved comics and wanted to exaggerate their fun energy and larger-than-life qualities in his art. His painting Drowning Girl was actually taken from a romantic comic strip. The girl is upset in the photo, and the use of the colour blue represents obviously the water that she